Did you ever think the day would come when Vanna White, the face of elegance on Wheel of Fortune, would step away from the game board? Well, that day is here.
I can't believe that tomorrow is our last show together. I don't know how to put into words what these past 41 years have meant to me.
But hold on, it's not just the retirement news that has everyone talking. The real shocker, her salary? Yes, the numbers are out and they're raising eyebrows everywhere. How could someone so iconic, so integral to the success of one of the longest-running game shows in history, have been paid so little compared to her co-host? Here's where it gets even more surprising. This salary disparity isn't just a footnote in her career. It's a spotlight on a much bigger issue in entertainment and beyond. By the time we're done, you'll have the full story. From the surprising facts about her paycheck to what her decision to retire might really mean. Stick around until the very end of this video, because we'll reveal how Vanna's retirement could spark a change that reaches far beyond her role on TV. If you've ever wondered what it really takes to stand up for your worth, whether in Hollywood or your own life, you won't want to miss this. For over 40 years, Vanna White has been the undeniable face of Wheel of Fortune. When she first joined the show in 1982, many thought her role would simply be to flip letters and smile. But what Vanna did was transform a routine task into something extraordinary. With her grace, her radiant smile, and her impeccable sense of style, she turned what could have been a forgettable job into an iconic role that captured the hearts of millions. Vanna wasn't just a co-host, she became a cultural icon. Her presence elevated the show, giving it a sense of sophistication and charm. Her gowns, carefully selected for each episode, became a talking point among fans. And despite rarely speaking on air, her silent charisma spoke volumes. She connected with audiences in a way few could, proving that actions and presence can leave just as big an impact as words. Her contribution to Wheel of Fortune goes beyond what viewers saw on screen. Vanna helped define the identity of the show, turning it into a household staple across generations. For many fans, the idea of Wheel of Fortune without her is almost unthinkable. Yet here we are facing the end of an era. But why now? And why is this retirement causing so much debate? The answers lie not just in her decision to step away, but in the numbers behind the show. Keep watching, because the next section uncovers the shocking truth about her salary, and it might just leave you speechless. Now, let's talk about what's really shaking things up: Vanna White's salary. For decades, she stood alongside Pat Sajak as a co-host of Wheel of Fortune, one of the most successful game shows of all time. Together, they turned a simple word puzzle game into a global sensation. But here's where things take a surprising turn. Reports suggest that Vanna has been earning about $3 million a year. Sounds impressive at first, right? But not when you compare it to Pat Sajak's reported $15 million annual paycheck. Let's break this down. For 40 years, Vanna has been the heart of the show. Her elegance, her interaction with the puzzle board, and her ability to connect with viewers have made her irreplaceable. Fans don't tune in just for the puzzles, they come for the warmth and charm that Vanna brought to every episode. So why does her paycheck pale in comparison to her co-hosts? This isn't just about numbers, it's about fairness. The pay gap between Vanna and Pat feels glaring, especially when you consider how essential she's been to the show's identity. Many fans are calling it out as an example of gender inequality in the entertainment world. How could someone so pivotal to the success of Wheel of Fortune be earning just a fraction of her counterpart's salary? But there's more to this story. Vanna reportedly fought for a pay raise during her final seasons, determined to address this imbalance. The outcome of those negotiations? We'll get to that soon. For now, the real question is, how did the producers let this gap persist for so long? In the next section, we'll look at how this controversy goes beyond Wheel of Fortune and why Vanna's retirement has become a wake-up call for the entire industry. Stay with us, because what's coming next will challenge how you think about fairness in the workplace. Vanna White's salary isn't just about numbers on a paycheck, it's a reflection of a much larger issue. Across the entertainment industry, women have often been paid less than their male counterparts, even when their contributions are just as significant. And Vanna's case might be one of the most glaring examples of this inequality. Think about it, for over 4 decades, Vanna has been just as iconic and integral to Wheel of Fortune as Pat Sajak. Her role wasn't merely decorative, it was foundational to the show's brand and success. Yet, her paycheck didn't reflect that. This isn't just disappointing, it's part of a broader pattern that affects women in every industry. But here's where it gets interesting. Vanna's situation has sparked a firestorm of conversations about fairness not just in Hollywood, but in workplaces everywhere. Social media has erupted with fans and commentators pointing out the glaring pay disparity, demanding answers from the show's producers. People are asking if someone as legendary as Vanna White can face this kind of pay gap, what hope is there for the average worker? Her retirement feels symbolic. It's not just an end to her time on Wheel of Fortune. It's a moment that's forcing the industry and society to take a hard look at how contributions are valued and compensated. But what does this mean for Vanna's legacy? And could her departure inspire real change? Keep watching, because in the next section, we'll dive into why her decision to retire is more powerful than you might think and how it might be a quiet form of protest. You don't want to miss this. Vanna White's retirement isn't just the end of an era, it's a statement. After decades of loyalty and grace under the spotlight, her departure feels like more than a career decision. Some are even calling it a silent protest. Think about it. Vanna has been the epitome of professionalism for over 40 years, never publicly complaining about her role or her pay. But behind the scenes, reports suggest she fought for what she deserved during her final seasons. Her decision to walk away now might be her way of saying, enough is enough. Fans and industry insiders alike are reflecting on her contributions. She wasn't just a co-host, she was the steady presence that made the show a comforting routine in people's lives. Whether it was her dazzling gowns, her unwavering smile, or the quiet elegance she brought to every episode, Vanna became a symbol of consistency in an ever-changing world. Her retirement marks a turning point, not just for Wheel of Fortune, but for the entertainment industry as a whole. It's forcing producers, networks, and audiences to confront the question, how do we value the people who bring magic to our screens? But here's where it gets emotional. While fans are celebrating her legacy, many are left wondering what if things had been different? What if she had been paid her worth all along? Would she still be retiring, or would she feel appreciated enough to stay? This is what makes her departure so bittersweet. It's a chance to honor her incredible career, but it's also a reminder of how far we still have to go in achieving fairness, not just in Hollywood, but in workplaces everywhere. And while Vanna might be stepping away, her impact is far from over. In the next section, we'll talk about what her future might hold and why her influence will continue to shape the industry. Trust me, this next part will surprise you. As Vanna White bids farewell to the iconic Wheel of Fortune stage, one question lingers: what comes next for her? While she hasn't shared all the details, there's no doubt that this new chapter will be just as remarkable as the last. For someone who has spent over 4 decades in the public eye, retirement doesn't necessarily mean disappearing. Industry insiders believe Vanna might pivot to opportunities that allow her to speak out about issues close to her heart, like the fight for fair pay and recognition. Imagine the influence she could wield as an advocate for change, using her story as a rallying cry for those who feel undervalued in their own roles. And let's not forget, Vanna is still beloved by millions. Whether it's guest appearances, brand collaborations, or even an entirely new venture, presence alone guarantees attention. Her retirement isn't an end. It's a transition into a new phase where she gets to define her legacy on her own terms. Fans are already speculating about potential projects. Could she write a memoir, sharing untold stories from her years on television? Perhaps she'll lend her elegance and charm to a new show or surprise everyone with something entirely unexpected. Whatever she chooses, one thing is certain: Vanna White's story is far from over. But there's a deeper message here. Vanna's decision to step away from the spotlight could inspire others to reevaluate their own worth. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes walking away isn't a loss, it's a victory. By leaving on her own terms, Vanna is showing the world what self-respect looks like. In the final section, we'll wrap things up by reflecting on how her departure could shape not just her legacy, but the future of entertainment itself. And here's the real kicker: there's a lesson in her story that might just change the way you think about your own life. Keep watching, because you don't want to miss this conclusion. Vanna White's retirement isn't just about saying goodbye to an icon. It's a moment that challenges us to think differently about value, fairness, and legacy. For over 40 years, she gave her heart and soul to Wheel of Fortune, becoming a cultural icon and a role model for grace, professionalism, and resilience. Yet her salary controversy reminds us of the persistent inequalities that exist, even in the brightest of spotlights. Her departure leaves a void that no one can truly fill, but it also sparks a larger conversation, one that goes beyond game shows and into our everyday lives. It's about knowing your worth and standing up for it, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Vanna's story teaches us that while recognition and rewards might not always come when we deserve them, There's power in defining your own legacy. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. Remember that earlier reward we promised for staying until the end? Here it is. Vanna's story isn't just about her, it's about all of us. Take a moment today to think about your own contributions, whether at work, at home, or in your community. Are you being valued the way you should be? And if not, what can you do to change that? If Vanna's journey has inspired you, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's make this a conversation about fairness, courage, and the importance of recognizing greatness in every role. And don't just keep these lessons to yourself, send this video to someone who needs to hear it. Because if Vanna's legacy teaches us anything, it's this: knowing your worth isn't just important, it's transformational. And that's something worth celebrating.